Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of ChluyTalk Podcast. I am your host, hellachluy. Today's guest is an educator, a mom, and the author of a new children's book called Lunchtime with Samnang. Without further ado, here is Tracy Guan. How are you, Tracy?
Hi, good. Nice to meet you. It's nice to finally meet you. Thank you for having me on your podcast.
Oh, nice to meet you, too. Thank you for being my guest. I'm glad that you reached out to me. You know, I'm always looking for amazing guests to highlight, and I think what you're doing is amazing. You have a children's book. It was a Kickstarter project, and congratulations on it, reaching the goal within 8 hours. That's amazing.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that.
Let's talk about your book. Can you tell us what's it about and how you came up with it?
Yeah, so the title of my book is called Lunchtime with Samnang. And I kind of started writing this book during the pandemic. I've always had a love for writing. And I finally kind of just decided to take a leap to, go on this creative journey after I realized that there's just not enough books about Asian Pacific Islander stories out there. I am also an educator, so I am a speech language pathologist, and I work with children all the time. But after the birth of my son, who is half Cambodian and half Chinese, I was looking for books that he can relate to in terms of, his culture, heritage, and there just wasn't really anything out there. So I decided to just write a book dedicated to him. Yeah.
That's awesome. So your son is the inspiration for your book, right?
Yes, exactly. Yes, he is the inspiration. And also because we are raising him in, like a multicultural, multilingual family, I felt like it was just important for us to expose him to all of that. And for anyone who is, wanting to learn something new about a new culture, I feel like it's important to have more of these books to kind of highlight different cultures out there. Yeah.
And before we get into the book, the details of the book, can you tell me about yourself, your background, like where you're from and stuff like that?
Yeah. So I'm Tracy Guan. I am born and raised in Boston, Massachusetts. So I grew up in the Boston public school systems. And currently I reside in Lowell, Massachusetts. So it's a big Cambodian community. And pretty much, it's such a strong community over here. I really feel like writing this book is very important for me too, because speaking with my husband, he always felt like there was no representation, especially like in the media, in books. So this is really a collaborative project from my family, his extended family, the community. So I really feel like this project was grown out of the love of the community.
Oh, wow. So I didn't know you're from Lowell. Oh, you're in Lowell. So that's cool.
Yeah,
I got so much
Lowell.
love for Lowell. Shout out to the people in Lowell.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite places to visit. Great food. As you said, like
Yeah,
there's a big Khmer population over there. And,
yes, for sure. Yeah.
So it was like a group effort with the project? You had your husband involved as well, or?
Yeah, so my background is I'm Chinese American, so I knew a little bit about Cambodian culture because my roommate is also Khmer when we were in college, so I learned just so much about the history and the culture, and I needed to make sure that this book represented the people correctly, So this book is, it's a fun book that encompasses food and travel and just culture. And so I wanted to make sure that everything was represented correctly and properly. And so, yeah, it's definitely a collaborative effort here.
I checked out the link to your Kickstarter, and I saw the pictures of the book and like the illustrations. It looks really, really cool. It looks colorful and stuff. Can you tell me about the artwork, who illustrated it?
Yeah, so the illustrator's name is Bo Feng Lin, and he is actually based in Germany. And he's a wonderful illustrator who uses different types of shapes and colors to really just create beautiful work. So I'm really appreciative of him being able to bring this project to life for us. Yeah.
Wow. How'd you connect with him? Did you know him or you?
I actually didn't. I didn't know him. I kind of just did a search, and I really fell in love with his work. And I contacted him, and he was available to work with me on this project. So we kind of hit it off that way.
Awesome. And is the book more like? Is there? Is it mainly a picture book, or is there also like a whole storyline in there, like with words and everything?
So it is a children's book, and it's a 36-page children's book. There is a storyline. So pretty much it goes through Samnang's journey of learning about different types of foods, and he's actually getting ready to go on a trip with his parents. So essentially, me and my husband, and then he hears all these different stories about his motherland, Cambodia, and he hears all these stories, and he kind of goes on a journey with his imagination, kind of visiting the Angkor Wat, the Kulin waterfalls. So just different landmarks and learning all the different elements of his culture.
Wow, I think this is so cool. I think it's going to be really good for the kids to learn about their culture too. Through a children's book. I think it's really important to have something like this. So I'm excited for you and for the book to come out. I think the people, the response has been pretty amazing, right? Like you guys got a big support. I see from social media and stuff. So
yeah, the support has just been so amazing, and it kind of shows how much a book like this is needed in the world right now. Especially with all the Asian hate going on. I feel like right now is like a perfect time to kind of amplify those voices that needs to be heard, right? And correct. Taking back the narrative and making sure that children see themselves in books and the media to reflect themselves, because I feel like for the longest time we weren't able to see that, especially growing up. For me at least, I grew up in the 90s. We didn't have any of that representation, and for kids to kind of see that right now, especially at a young age, I think it's going to do, it's going to bring so much encouragement and empowerment for our children.
I agree. Growing up, there wasn't much Asian representation. It was only like, I grew up on Bruce Lee. I'm a huge Bruce Lee fanatic and stuff. But it's just martial arts, A lot of us just martial arts or nerds in Hollywood. So it's trying to break the stereotype. I think we're just as talented as just any race, Like we need I feel like we need more representation. We need leading roles, and stuff like that,
Exactly. Yeah, and it's crazy because for the longest time I feel like there are characters of Asian American people in media, but it's usually the back role or like definitely not leading roles, and I feel like it's time to make that change. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did you watch Raya the Last Dragon?
Yes, I did. I did.
That was pretty cool. What were your thoughts on that? I think that's a step in the right direction, I guess, like with a Disney movie that has Southeast Asian cultures infused.
I think so too. I mean, I watched it with my my son, and I feel like it was amazing to see, just because it's something that has never been done before, especially representation in Southeast Asian communities. And I feel like right now is the time to kind of amplify all of these stories, and especially with Disney. Disney's been coming out with movies for the longest time, and they're finally providing that representation.
I agree. It's a pretty cool movie. I actually watched it too, like not just recently too.
Did you like it?
I liked it. It was pretty cool. What did you learn when making the book? Did you run into any issues or challenges?
Yeah, so I don't know if or typically when writing a book, it's usually you write the manuscript and it's submitted to like a traditional publisher. I decided to actually self-publish my book. So I had to kind of be in charge of all of the, hiring an illustrator, the editor, formatting the book. So there was a lot of kind of learning along the way too. I didn't realize how much, I knew that it was a lot of work, but the communication part, I feel like is such a crucial part in creating this book. And so it's like learning a brand new trade. No big issues, but definitely, I felt like it took much longer than I had expected it to take. But it's okay. I feel like in the end, the product was kind of what I wanted it to be.
Is this your first book?
This is my very first book.
Wow.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it's my very first
Excited
book.
for it. What surprised you the most through this whole process of making the book?
Just the amount of support I've been getting actually throughout the process of making the book. I went into this project kind of wanting my son to just have a book for him to read, but I feel like along the way, so much for support from friends and family and the community, kind of seeing the cover and just really, I feel like a lot of people were able to kind of relate to the storyline, especially when I kind of told them about it.
What is the meaning behind the title, Lunchtime with Samnang?
The title is Lunchtime with Samnang, and the word Samnang actually means lucky, and it's actually named after my son. His middle name is actually Samnang, so I wanted to make sure that he was a big part of this book. Yeah.
Since we're on the topic of lunch, what's your favorite Khmer food? Can you name some? Yeah.
I love Khmer food, so I could talk about one of the main spreads on in the book. My favorite Khmer dish of all time is slama.
Wow, that's mine too.
Yeah, I feel like it's such a traditional dish that encompasses just so much, amazing ingredients, and that's why I had to choose that dish for one of the main spreads, because it just encompasses so much aromatic.
The sour, the tamarind base, the lemongrass, all that good stuff, all the aromatics. Yeah. So the characters, I don't want to give away too much from the book because I want people to go out there and support it. But the main character is Samnang, but this also it's a family book. Is it based on your husband and Samnang, or any other family members as well?
Yes, so pretty much the book is based on my family, but there is, his Ye and his Ta, so his grandma and grandpa also is highly involved in the book. So it's actually a multi-generational book that kind of talks about their different experiences, the connection between my son and their grandparents. And there's also a spread in there about Khmer New Year, and talks about how Ye, she buys all the traditional outfits for everybody to wear so that we can go to temple. So I think it's very special to kind of include grandparents, because I feel like for a lot of families, grandparents are very much involved. And so I want him to kind of grow up seeing that, and seeing and also normalizing that, the language that he speaks, and also, the words that he says, the people that he sees are very important and should be included in a children's book.
I think this is important as well, because I remember growing up, my parents are always like reminding me or just lecturing me, saying, don't forget your culture. Saying like in Khmer, they'll say, "Komplet biasa Khmer," like don't forget your culture, like to speak more Khmer at home and stuff. Because, I think this is a good book to, because, our parents, I think it's true, like, because like the more we speak English at home, the more we become less fluent in Khmer. Like, as I grew older, I started forgetting how to speak to my mom. So I'm like, I'm over here speaking broken English, but now I know why, because I feel it's it's important for children to know their language as well. If they're multicultural, maybe know both languages. You could be trilingual, you know. Are you teaching Samnang some Chinese as well?
Yeah, so I speak Cantonese at home, and my husband speaks Khmer. So I mean, we're doing our best. We're trying our best, and surprisingly, he's picking up so much of the Khmer language and also of Cantonese too.
Wow.
And it's interesting because before I had my son, I only knew a few Khmer words, and my husband only knew a few Cantonese words. And after he was born, you know, we say the phrases consistently again and again. And I found that both of us had picked up the language as well.
Wow.
You know, and I feel like with consistency, you know, whether he uses it or not in the future, that's up to him. But really just giving him that gift of language and culture, I feel like is all that we can do for him.
Yeah.
You
I
know?
mean, and the kids are they're like a sponge. I think they pick it up faster.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because when I was a kid, I was like speaking full on sentences and paragraphs in Khmer with my mom, and then as I grew older, I just kind of like forgot, you know. But
Yeah, and it's hard, especially where, you know, we're exposed to English in school, and then at home, you know, we speak with our parents, but it's just that hybrid, that you know, that code switching. And a lot of times I feel like without the exposure, it's easy to lose it. So I feel like it's important if you can, right, to kind of expose your children to the language.
I think that's important. And Khmer New Year is like one of my favorite holidays to celebrate. It's like I wait every year for April, you know, and that's cool that you added that in your book. And you know, it's all about like tradition too. I think that's important for the kids to know why. That's the way I was raised. So I feel like, you know, I don't get too religious with it, but I do go show up to the temples and stuff. I still have my necklace my mom gave me, my Buddha. You know, I haven't taken it off since I was 15. So it's like, it means a lot to me. It's like more, it's valuable, you know?
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So now that you have the Kickstarter, tell us about when the book will go into production and when the people can get their hands on it and how we can support.
Yeah, absolutely. So I just started the Kickstarter last week, but it's just incredible how much some support I've gotten already within the first day. So it is fully funded, but the Kickstarter is going to end on June 10th, which is about a couple of weeks from now. So if you would like a copy of it, you can still pre-order it through Kickstarter. And pretty much once the Kickstarter ends, I'm going to send it off to bulk printing. And then once it goes into production, it should be arriving around August or so. And I'll be sending out the books once it's ready to go.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I will be ordering my book, you know. And
oh, thank you so much for your support.
That's amazing that you know, the people that you have all the support. You know, I think I also saw, I'm in like a Facebook group, like Subtle Cambodian Traits, and I saw someone post about it too. So I'm like,
yeah,
okay.
That's awesome. That's amazing. Yeah, incredible the amount of support that we've received so far. So, yeah, I really thank you all, and just so grateful for it as well.
Now that you have your first book done, will there be a part 2? Will there be a dinner time with Samnang? Now that you know how the process is, do you look forward to it?
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. I actually started a company called Tangerine and Jade Press, and really the company is to kind of amplify diverse voices, you know, particularly of Asian Pacific Islander voices, but you know, people of all walks of life. I feel like right now is such a crucial time to kind of give these voices, you know, the time to shine, because we just don't have enough of these books out there. So I am working on my next book, and this one, I don't want to give too much away, and it's going to be called Love is Mama's Hands. And it's going to be about, you know, kind of my journey growing up with my mother, and how really, you know, in a lot of Asian cultures, we don't really show love through saying I love you or hugs, right? It's really through action. action and through hands. And so this book is kind of like a love letter to my mother, to kind of thank her for all of the love and support she's given me through hard work and, just hustling, her whole entire life to provide for me and my brother as well. So, yeah. Wow, so that'll be coming out probably at the end of the year.
Wow. I'm looking forward to that too, because I feel that what you said about how we don't say I love you. Like, I didn't start saying I love you to my mom till my late 20s, so it's like I think across all Asian cultures we have similarities and we have our differences, but
sure.
but we like Cambodian people, we have a different way of showing love, like our parents would like cuss us out, but that's their way of showing love,
right. Same. It's like, oh, why did you do that? But they're checking in, but it's a different way for them to show us. Wow. Yeah. And
will that also be like a children's book, or is it going to be more of a book, like a adult book?
It'll be a children's book. So my main focus is children's books. So for what I'm working on at the moment, the projects are mostly going to be for children, because I really do feel that it's important for kids to kind of see themselves in books young. That's when they start to kind of become very curious about the world, and it's important for them to be reflected in the books that they see, especially the main characters, right? If they can see it, they could be it. So I feel like it's just critical for them to start at a young age, reading, and even encouraging parents to be more involved with the conversations, especially when they're reading different types of literature.
Amazing. Like the saying goes, teach them young, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And through books, I feel like it's important to read,
Yeah.
And especially if you have a cool illustration like that, though, the kids will want to actually look at the book and read.
Yeah, I know when I was growing up, I don't think I barely had any books. Parents are busy working, and we had toys, but I don't think I've really had like books, like went to a bookstore to actually purchase a book until much later. So I feel like now kids these days have access to everything. So it's a great way for them to get started, to get to know, their culture, and also just to enjoy reading.
I agree. And the book, Lunchtime with Samnang, is it going to be available on like Amazon, or do we order from you like your website, or how does that work?
It will be on after the Kickstarter is over. I'm going to have it on my website. I don't know if I'm going to have it on Amazon yet. I don't have all the details yet, but possibly in the future. Yeah.
Awesome. Make sure you guys support the book. I'll have all her info in the description. And where can they find you on social media?
Yeah, so I'm at Tangerine and Jade Press, and I'm on both Instagram and Facebook. So feel free to find me there. Great.
And what's the meaning behind Tangerine and Jade Press? Can you explain that?
Yeah. So it took me a while to kind of find a name for my company. And I really wanted to kind of find something that was meaningful for me, especially since I'm going to be, representing diversity and uplifting voices, right? So I wanted to be able to find a name that is reflective of my culture and also my upbringing as well. So I don't know if you know, but tangerine is a very important element in Chinese culture, and it symbolizes, prosperity, happiness, and also creativity. So as the children's book author, I feel like it's very important for children to kind of tap into that creative space, use their imagination, especially when they're young. So that's where Tangerine came. And then Jade is just something that I thought of because I wanted to dedicate part of this company to my mother. And that's one of her favorite stones. So that's where Jade came. So Tangerine and Jade Press.
Tangerine and Jade Press. I like it. Thank you so much for your time, Tracy. And I look forward to purchasing your book and supporting, and hope that everyone does the same.
Thank you so much for your time. Yeah, it was a pleasure being on your podcast. All right, so here's a sample copy of my book.
Wow, it's amazing.
Here are some of the end pages. You guys get a sneak peek of it. We have some different elements here. Some sticky rice, the Angkor Wat. And then, yeah, here's the first spread.
Wow.
All the food. And then some of these you guys have seen on the, you will see on the Kickstarter already.
Yeah, I like that. I like the Angkor Wat and that sunglass roof.
Yeah,
Or is it the binoculars? Okay.
Yeah, so the binoculars are pretty much, he's looking at the Angkor Wat. I don't know if you noticed that, but pretty much.
Awesome.
Yeah. And then here's him with his dad. And then this one I didn't show, but I think this is a very powerful image because it's pretty much, I think a lot of Khmer families have a painting of Angkor Wat and
dancers.
Yeah, in their house. So that's his yay and that's his ta. And they're having a conversation about pretty much the painting and the history and all of that. So hopefully people will like it.
Oh, we love it. I love it already. So yeah, you don't have to show the whole thing because, I don't
want to spoil it for you.
Yeah. So definitely you're looking forward to it. And thank you so much. All right.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'll keep in touch.
Yes, definitely. Hit me up anytime. And,
thank you.
Got my full support.
If you're ever in Lowell, my husband and I can take you out.
Oh, yeah. Definitely want to. Yeah, I'll hit you guys up.